In the vibrant streets of Lagos, Na and Eno's whirlwind romance was a Nollywood saga with no end credits, until their wedding day sparked a deliciously chaotic showdown. Known for their fiery breakups and reconciliations, the couple devised a bold plan to test their guests' loyalty with a no church, no rice rule at their reception. As rice-hungry guests clashed with Na's enforcers, the hall split into the fed and the famished, igniting a social media storm that turned their wedding into a national spectacle. But when revenge struck months later at a family party, Na and Eno learned that in Lagos, the street never forgets a slight, especially one involving jollof. Dive into this tale of love, loyalty, and a buffet battle that left everyone hungry for more. If you resided within 3 streets of Na and Eno, you'd already be aware that their romance was like a never-ending Nollywood drama with no final credits. N was the tall, fidgety sort, always speaking rapidly and moving even faster. He saw life as a race, believing the person ahead of him had the upper hand, so he constantly pushed to outpace them. Conversely, Eno was petite, curvaceous, with a smile that could soften even the hardest Akira. Yet her temper was like Lagos traffic, quick to jam everything up and slow to ease. Still, together, they formed an ideal pair. They might bicker over planting in the morning, but would be swaying together under streetlights by night. Over their 3-year courtship, they split up at least 8 times, each breakup marked by Facebook posts, lengthy WhatsApp voice messages. In one unforgettable moment, when Eno sent back Na's slippers via dispatch rider, with a note, "Since you've left my life, take back the shoes you wore." Yet, somehow, they always reconciled, like 2 obstinate goats tethered to the same stake. When word spread that they were finally tying the knot, people were torn between buying a CB to celebrate or grabbing popcorn for the spectacle. Some neighbors even started wagering on how long the marriage would endure. But Na and Eno were unfazed, diving into wedding plans with a seriousness that stunned even their critics. The catch was, their planning mirrored the unpredictability of their relationship. They kept details like the RSVP under wraps, treating the guest list like a top-secret file. They debated everything: who to invite, how many chairs to hire, and whether the MC should be humorous or stay silent. Still, the neighborhood began to sense something peculiar. Whenever someone inquired about the wedding, Na would declare, "We only want those who genuinely care about us there." Eno would nod with a sly smile, like a cat eyeing a bird. About 2 weeks before the big day, Mama Peace, Eno's loud and prying aunt, overheard the couple talking on their veranda, and he said, "We'll see who truly cares by who shows up at the church. The reception is for celebrating, not for strangers to pile jollof on their plates." Eno laughed so hard she nearly spilled her drink, but Mama Peace stood alert like an antenna, and by the time she shared the news with 2 others, half the neighborhood was buzzing. People whispered, "So these 2 won't feed anyone who didn't attend the church?" Some dismissed it with a laugh, but others saw it as a dare to in Lagos. There's a unique group of wedding guests called Rice First people, who dress in their finest, snap selfies outside the reception hall, but never step inside the church. Their sole mission: food and takeaway packs. To them, missing a reception was like missing the rapture. By the week of the wedding, the chatter had divided invitees into 2 groups. Those determined to prove their loyalty by attending the full church service, and those brazenly saying, "I'm heading straight to the reception. I don't have time for sermons about love." On the wedding morning, as the couple prepared, the streets were alive with excitement. Tailors were making last-minute tweaks, gellies were tied at precarious angles, and across town, 3 men in glossy suits debated whether to go to the church or head straight to the reception to snag a table before it got crowded. Unbeknownst to them, Na and Eno had already planned an unconventional wedding day. Even the breeze seemed complicit, rustling the curtains in Eno's room as her bridesmaids fussed over her hair, makeup, and gown's train. Meanwhile, Na was across town, pacing his small living room in a white singlet, barking orders into his phone like a commander on a battlefield. "Don't let food reach any table until I say so. Wait for my signal." He ignored his best man's eye rolling. This was his strategy, and he was sticking to it. The church service was scheduled for 10 a.m. at St. Michael's Anglican in Surrey, a stunning venue. Inside, the altar was adorned with fresh flowers, the pews gleamed, and the choir was already singing opening hymns. The issue? Half the seats were empty. Older church members occupied the front rows. A few loyal friends sat in the middle. And at the back, one uncle was already dozing in his suit. Outside, however, was a different scene. Across the street, the reception hall, a grand space decked in gold and white, was buzzing like a hive. Guests in vibrant, shiny acebi were taking selfies under the archway, clinking malt bottles, and praising the decor without caring that they hadn't set foot in the church. One man in a red cap was heard saying, "I'll stay here until they're done with all that love is patient, love is kind talk, then go straight in." A woman with a gelly as tall as a 3-story building laughed. "Please, the church is for their hearts. The reception is for our stomachs." Inside the church, Eno sat beside Na at the front, clutching her bouquet and smiling for photos, but her eyes kept scanning the pews, noting too many empty seats and absent familiar faces. Her friend Shade, sent to scout the reception, slipped in and whispered, "Eno, more than half the people didn't even show up to church. They're already camped at the reception hall, like they're waiting for NEPA to restore power." Eno's smile stiffened. She glanced at Na, whose face remained unchanged. He leaned in and murmured, "Perfect. Let them chill. They think we're playing, right?" During the vows, Na's mind wasn't only on "until death do us part," but on the secret order he'd given the caterers that morning. No one without proof of church attendance gets food. Operation, no program, no plate. He'd even enlisted his younger cousin, a professional bouncer, to enforce the rule. That as the service ended, the few loyal attendees clapped and snapped photos, but outside, the Rice First crowd was lined up at the reception entrance, phones out, stomachs ready, eyes fixed on the buffet tables. By the time Na and Eno left the church in their white Benz, the reception hall was electric with energy. The MC, a tall man in a purple blazer with a booming voice, had been hyping the crowd for nearly an hour, mixing jokes with upbeat songs. The air was thick with the aroma of jollof, rice, fried meats, and fresh puff, a scent that could make even the most devout forget their prayers. Yet a closer look revealed something strange. Caterers were busy, but only half the tables had food, the others bare, as if those guests were there just to admire the decor. When the couple made their grand entrance, dancing, guests leapt up, spraying Naira notes as the band's talking drum shook the floor. Ine grinned, not with the joy of love, but with the smirk of someone whose secret was about to explode. After settling at the high table, the MC's voice thundered, "Ladies and gentlemen, our lovely couple has arrived. Clap for love." Everyone applauded, but Na's eyes sought the head caterer, a stern woman in a green apron who'd received his special instructions that morning. He gave her a subtle nod, the signal she needed. Suddenly, the MC's tone shifted to official. "For smooth coordination, we'll begin serving food now. However, only those who attended the church service will be served first. Please show your church program to the ushers at your table. If you don't have one, kindly wait until after the first round." A silence heavy enough to hear a spoon drop fell over the room to a back table. A man in a bold agbada chuckled nervously, whispering to his friend, "Did you hear that? Are they joking?" At another, a woman with an oversized gelly rummaged through her bag, hoping she'd accidentally grab someone's program. The young man in sunglasses grumbled, "What kind of policy is this? Like an exam hall." But the ushers, secretly briefed, moved table to table, giving immediate approval to those with programs while firmly asking others to wait. The food line started quietly, but whispers grew into murmurs, then full-on complaints. One man stood and challenged an usher. "So because I didn't sit in church, I can't eat? Please, serve me jollof before I get angry." The usher smiled politely. "Sorry, sir, no program, no plate." From the high table, Na sipped his drink slowly, watching the drama like a football match. Eno whispered, "Your plan is working, oh." At the back, some program-less guests tried sneaking to the buffet, blending with the approved crowd, but the caterers were sharp-eyed. One stopped a man with a tray of plantain. "Sir, please respect yourself. No program, no plantain." By the end of the first round, half the hall was eating happily while the other half sat in hunger, shame, and disbelief. As tensions rose, Na decided it was time for phase 2 of his plan, a move to turn frustration into chaos. This second phase wasn't in the wedding program or announced, but it was what Na had been anticipating all day. The no program, no plate rule had already split the hall into two clear zones. The kingdom of the fed, where guests laughed, chewed bones, sipped cold drinks, and requested seconds, and the Federal Republic of the Hungry, where guests sat rigidly, clutching empty cups, feigning interest in table centerpieces while eyeing the buffet like Israelites gazing at the promised land. Initially, the hungry guests tried to stay composed, hoping the ushers would soften after the first round. They clapped when prompted by the MC and swayed in their seats to distract their growling stomachs. But as the aroma of jollof, fried meat, and fresh meat pies wafted through the hall like a cruel perfume, their patience drained like a leaking pipe, becoming a rare commodity. The first rebellion came from a tall, light-skinned man in a wine-colored senator outfit who'd been quiet at the back. He faked an urgent phone call, strolled to the buffet, grabbed a plate, and joined the queue as if he belonged. He thought he'd blended in until one of Nas' street brothers, a burly guy called Bullet, appeared beside him. "Oga, your church program?" Bullet asked, his calm voice carrying a warning tone. "Oh, I left it in my car," the man replied smoothly, trying to move forward. Bullet smiled dangerously. "No problem. Let's go get it together." Before the man could protest, Bullet was escorting him to the exit. The buffet crowd laughed, while the hungry groaned. That incident broke the dam. Suddenly, hungry guests tested the system like Lagos drivers dodging LASMA. A young woman in a silver gown tried sneaking into the food line with an old burial program, hoping the ushers wouldn't notice the covers gone too soon caption. They did. Another guest posed as a caterer, tying a napkin around his neck and offering to carry trays, but Nas' cousin, a lanky man named Scorpion, stopped him with a hand on his chest. "Oga, who signed you up for volunteer service?" The boldest attempt came from a teenage boy who climbed the stage's back, pretending to fix the MC's microphone, but aiming to slip behind the buffet table. He didn't reach the cake table before two of Nas' boys grabbed him mid-air like action movie stuntmen and marched him back to his seat. A and his team were ready, and each failed attempt entertained the fed guests, who watched the hungry like a live comedy show. The MC fueled the fire with announcements. "Ladies and gentlemen, celebrate this man. He came late for church, but early for rice. Oh, clap for this auntie. She forgot her Bible, but brought her cooler." Laughter rocked the hall, but the hungry side's pride was simmering. Finally, a group of uninvited friends of friends decided they'd had enough. They pushed back their chairs, marched to the buffet, and shouted, "This is a public event. Is the food your personal property? Everyone deserves to eat." The music dipped, and heads turned. This was Nas' moment. He rose slowly from the high table, adjusted his outfit, and signaled with 2 fingers. His crew, Bullet, Scorpion, and 3 others, moved like a security unit, surrounding the noisy group, NO shouting. Just a silent push toward the door. One man resisted, but Bullet whispered something that made him slump instantly. Within seconds, they were outside, and within a minute, they were down the road, still protesting as Bullet's voice echoed, "Go. Arrange your own reception." Phones were out, recording from all angles. Some guests laughed uncontrollably. Others shook their heads in disbelief. When Na returned to his seat, Eno leaned in playfully. "You're enjoying this too much." Na speared a piece of fried plantain with his fork. "They think a wedding is just for takeaways, ABI? Today we'll school them." When the chaos settled, the remaining unserved guests sat like statues for the rest of the event, eyes avoiding the buffet. And one tried another stunt. But their silence wasn't defeat. It was the calm before a social media storm. And it came to be why Sunday morning, the wedding had gone from a private celebration to national gossip. IT began with a 30-second Facebook video of Nas' boys escorting out the noisy group, captioned, "No church, no rice. Lagos couple's shocking wedding rule." Within hours, it spread to Instagram, WhatsApp statuses, and TikTok, where a comedian reenacted the scene, chasing people with a plastic spoon. The comment sections were a war zone. Team Bride and Groom hailed Na and Eno for exposing fake well-wishers. Loyalty before Jollof. One comment read with clapping emojis. Another said, skip their vows. You skip their rules. This is top-tier wedding planning. But Team Hungry Guests dragged them mercilessly. Petty couple with small minds. Marriage isn't a loyalty test. Food is hospitality. God will judge you for shaming people on your wedding day. By afternoon, Twitter jumped in with a split image of Na grinning at the high table beside an empty buffet plate, captioned, "The face of the man who weaponized jollof rice." It racked up over 5,000 retweets. The real heat came from family. Eno's phone buzzed nonstop with calls from aunties she hadn't spoken to in years. Scolding her point, one UK-based auntie sent a 7-minute WhatsApp voice note filled with proverbs about not turning feasts into battlegrounds and how when the drumbeat changes, the dancer must adapt. Na's uncle, a church elder, showed up at their house that evening, his frown deep enough to plant maize. You chased guests from your wedding? In my day, even gatecrashers ate. Your generation has no shame. Na tried to explain. Uncle, these people didn't even enter the church. They sat at the reception like vultures. We can't feed those who couldn't pray with us for an hour. His uncle shook his head, muttering, "You've made enemies who won't forgive you. I hope your rice was worth it." Not all the anger came from opportunists, though. Some genuine invitees who missed the church for valid reasons felt deeply humiliated. An old family friend from Abadan, stuck in traffic for 3 hours, was told he needed a program to eat. Eno's former lecturer, whose car broke down on 3rd Mainland Bridge, faced the same. Both left quietly, but word later reached the couple that they were deeply offended. Meanwhile, the caterer, hired for more plates than served, stared at coolers of untouched food. And still steering the narrative, told her, "Don't waste it. Pack it all for the choir and church members who came." The leftover feast, complete with stockfish and malt, was delivered to the parish that evening, earning the couple praise from the pastor. But rather than mending their image, it deepened the hurt for unserved close guests, who saw it as proof the couple prioritized strangers over them. Happy Wine Nightfall. Hashtags #RiceGate and #ChurchBeforeChop were trending. A parody account, No Program No Plate, posted wedding memes with captions like, Matthew 4 verse 4, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by church." Attendance. Na found it hilarious, laughing on the couch as he scrolled. "Babe, we're famous. Look, someone drew us chasing people with a ladle." But Eno wasn't fully amused. "You're laughing now, but some people, even family, won't forget this. Think they'll all joke about it? Wait till we're invited somewhere else." 3 months later, the gossip storm had calmed, but tensions lingered beneath the surface. Eno thought people had moved on, as they exchanged greetings and laughed with some of the same guests they'd starved. But some wounds weren't bleeding. They were waiting for the right moment to reopen. That moment came on a Saturday when Eno's aunt, Annie Patience, the one who skipped their church service but shone in sequins at the reception, threw a lavish 60th birthday party at a Yaba event center, the Gold. Embossed invitation came with a voice note from Annie Patience. "You must come. It'll be hot with a live band, buffet, small chops, everything." Na and Eno didn't hesitate, dressing to impress. Na in a sky blue agbada sharp enough to cut bread. Eno in a sparkling gold gown with matching headgear. They arrived fashionably late, expecting the usual warm welcome for latecomers. But something felt off the moment they entered the hall. Tea was packed, music blaring, the aroma of fried rice, peppered goat meat, and spring rolls enveloping them like a cozy blanket. Yet, no usher greeted them, and no one rushed to guide them to a table. They found 2 empty seats wedged among strangers. Ene shrugged. "No issue. We're here to celebrate, not to sit in front." Then he noticed something odder. Waiters with trays of drinks and small chops consistently skipped their table. Tea first. He thought it was a fluke and raised his hand. "Oga, please." The waiter gave a tight smile. "Sorry, sir. We're serving by order of attendance." Na froze. That phrase hit too close to home. 10 minutes later, the MC's booming voice announced, "As per the celebrant's instructions, those who attended the Thanksgiving service today will be served first. Please show your church program to the ushers. The room burst into laughter, but it wasn't friendly, and Eno felt eyes on them. Eyes that recalled no program, no plate. Some pointed, and a man at the next table said loudly, "They did us at their wedding. Now God has caught them." Na's face flushed, and Eno's smile hardened like she'd bitten raw pepper. Turkey legs, steaming jollof, and cold drinks went to other tables while theirs remained empty. They tried to act unbothered, scrolling their phones as food passed them like angels bypassing Egyptian homes during Passover. But it became unbearable. They leaned to Eno. "Let's go. This is petty." Before they could leave, Auntie Patience swept over in flowing lace, fanning herself dramatically, and said sweetly, "My dears, I hope you see now. We must honor those who honored us at the Thanksgiving. You know, loyalty before rice." Her eyes gleamed with sly satisfaction, and they swallowed hard, and Eno's nails dug in her purse. They forced laughs, nodded, and sat for another hour with empty plates. As leaving too soon would admit defeat be why the party's end, they left without tasting a single puff-puff. The drive home was quiet until Na finally said, "This is the last time we play games with food at any event. The street never forgets." Eno sighed. "We gave them a lesson, but today they showed us the exam has a part two." Back at the hall, Auntie Patience sat at her high table, savoring a juicy turkey piece, smiling because revenge tasted sweeter than ever. Thank you for reading the story. Please share your thoughts in the comments, spread the story to your loved ones, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Until the next story, goodbye.